Trundle in a scenario like this. Regardless, very strong siege comp coming through from Griffin. KT all about the team fight. It is going to be the Tahm Kench support even after the 1 millionth nerf sent towards the Tahm Kench will not remain benched. Get the confirmation. It's just going to be a mid lane Corki for this time.
Doesn't feel so good. An interesting take on 9-14 so far as we check out these compositions. Griffin not really pivoting too much, but the Nami is a cool addition, and an old bottom lane that has been disgusting in patches and metas past.
So much changes. What do we make of it? Let's work out KT versus Griffin, game 1 on 9-14.
Are you a fan of that chroma? The Corgi? The Welsh Corgi chroma?
A huge fan. I mean, you know this.
No, this particular chroma variety of it, though.
No.
It's a slight change-up, and I'm not... I like sort of vanilla Corgi, you know?
I mean...
Corgi.
I'm all
vanilla
for
Corgi.
The Corgi bum wagging still continues, so that's
it's still
an enduring, adorable thing.
But it looks like a husky. That's not a Corgi.
I'm with you.
I'm so confused.
It kind of reminds me of... you know that Nunu skin where he's like really scary? It's not Steel Guardian, but it's something along those lines.
Oh, yeah. It's like Battlecast Nunu or something like that.
It's not Battlecast, but it's along the same lines. And it's like, it reminds me of that, where it's a little bit too intimidating. I much prefer the rainbows and happiness than the normal.
And when you can go from like Cookie Monster to that in the same champion, I feel like there's a problem.
That's fair.
It's unfortunate.
But we're going to zoom in and enjoy some Corgi shenanigans.
Yeah.
Chovy jumping on a pick that hasn't been the good luck charm that it has been to Dumb One Gaming, but definitely a powerful first round. Red side, I feel like we will almost always see Corki taken first round red side because it's now a top lane flex. We see it in solo queue. It was played in TOP's LPL series yesterday with all the nerfs to other ranged laners. Corki got no nerfs, so guess what? Going to see even more play.
Well, do need to update on the keystones here, guys. As far as the changes from things that we'd normally see, Doran, we need to say that it will be playing the on-hit variety of this Nico.
Got a priority lane. Didn't get too many of those against Nogari, so going to see how he can do. He is brought into the team to be much more of a lane-dominant player compared to Sword, who was always kind of trying to steer a ship as best as he could.
Ooh.
Harassment damage comes in. It's Guardian Nami, but it's still Nami. So Nami, of course, is going to be the champion picked here to give the Ezreal more lane presence, kind of like the Ezreal Karma that we had at the start of last week. So looking for lane dominance here, and there's the potential for Tarzan to invade this red side jungle. They'll certainly have first rotation from their duo.
And he's gone buff to buff. Took some chickens as well on his way, did Tarzan, so that's going to make sure that he can get up there as high as possible as far as getting into the enemy jungle if he wants to. A Rift Cutlass for the next little while as the Wolf Camp is where he goes, just to, I guess, guard against being invaded by a score.
Seen a lot more defensive jungle paths from Tarzan this season. I don't think he was ever the explosive jungler that perhaps the kind of global audience latched on to. He was very much about smart timings, but those smart timings are coming later and later while other issues have emerged around Griffin. It's kind of been my read on him in summer season. Come on, King, up!
There we go.
All right, got most of those. Yep. I like how this is Jonah Strong being a jerk and just zooming in straight on how many CS you're getting.
And now we're officially tilted as Chovy down to 100 health in the mid lane. BDD, very aggressive. Fallen behind as far as farm is concerned. Holds onto his flash, but so does Chovy, who's elected to go for the Kleptomancy in the mid lane to make sure that he can make as much bank as possible. Prey with the spell shield, largely to get himself back some mana, and does land it.
Again, if you're wondering about the Silas changes, I kind of invite you to have 914 on a second monitor or a different tab to open up, because even if I'm going to go over them based on memory, it's inevitably going to miss something. There were so many changes, but my read on the Silas changes were big buffs for mid-lane mage matchups, which is what he gets against a Corki, right, who is a magic damage champion. Now you have always the shield when you want it. Previously, if you were in a solo lane, you had to hit a champion, which... before that, you didn't get any shield. Now you get it on first cast of E, so you can walk up to minions and proc your passive, which is stronger at all points. So getting priority with Q buffs and passive buffs on the minion wave, and then having a shield on command, means that, well, he's out of the jungle, back into the lane.
And he's smacking Chovy around a little bit here as well, as both of them teleported back into the lane. See B2D pushed up very, very far. That second proc on the Q is also going to do a little bit more damage now on this patch. It's mainly the nerf to the ultimate that is the big change.
It is Emax first. You see mid laners change in matchups and between player preferences on this. The Shred, of course, the damage is going to be largely absorbed by the shield, but after that, the Shred can be relevant in the matchup. So for longer extended trades, that can be big. It's the extended trade Sylas build also. As Predator available, not popped yet. There's the Predator.
Yeah. Score
Predator.
not actually going to come down. Yeah, exactly. It's just going to run more quickly towards that mid lane. Control vision available for KT. Bottom side of the lane here for B2D, so he can continue to play aggressively. And as you can see, he is doing that. Doesn't land the abscond though.
The Caps style Conqueror build that we first saw during MSI. Loving the Conqueror on both Kali and Sylas, winning both sides of that matchup. We used the spell shield here, but that's a good cooldown trade coming through from Griffin. Sylas in the solo lane has always been so revered because if he can get priority, he can steal ult, so he's flexible, and it's very easy to follow up on the E, right? It is a really good engage tool, so just like Aurelia and other champions, basically whenever you have one of these effective melee assassins, freeze that minion wave outside a turret, look for the all-in when your jungler's ready.
Oh, there's a lot of vision available here for Griffin on the bottom side. Prey not too worried about taking a few Qs because he's gone back to base now anyway. Minion wave prepped and ready. Griffin will be able to do what they want with it, but some time bought by KT.
Still, with the Nami rolled in, it's a lot of priority. Atlas, it's at the moment 3 winning lanes, although BDD has been able to curb the influence of Chovy in the mid lane. And Griffin will be very comfortable about where this game transitions into. They can group for sieging, they can go for a 4-1 siege here, they can play 1-3-1, and if their ward coverage is on point, it's two pretty slippery champions, right? And Corki and Nico, so they're pretty flexible with how they want to play out the game. The only thing Griffin can't do with this team comp is face check from behind multiple objectives. You can throw flags into Baron, but trying to walk up with a Nami will get assassinated by so many people on KT's side, so they have to be careful of not being caught in transition. And speaking of which, we got a bit of a Rift Scuttle battle.
Yeah, and it's going to be the new and improved Tongue Lash after the hotfix during 9.14. Of course, it's not only the initial patch notes that you have to look at, it's all the updates that came in multiple days afterwards, and it's very difficult to keep up. Tahm Kench feels buffed, although he was actually nerfed and then buffed again, and it's a very weird situation.
And if you're following both TFT and League with all the hotfixes
I've been reading a lot, dude.
Exactly. Your literacy level is way higher.
I know, my vocabulary's just, it's expanded out the wazoo.
What's some words you've picked up from
wazoo,
League of Legends?
Obviously.
And what about from League of Legends patch notes? Any interesting ones in the last couple of weeks between TFT and League?
No, a great display of talent. That's one that I've picked up. Supreme, sorry, yeah, so I didn't even pick it up.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't know that was the skill name, so whenever I heard it shouted out a lot in the LEC broadcast, and I assumed it was ironic, because if this was the LCK broadcast and we called something a Supreme Display of Talent, it would be some targeted ability that was too strong.
Yep, it'd be someone winning on Sona.
Yeah, Supreme Display of Talent. Speaking of Supreme Displays of Talent, Kingen is being bullied top side.
Yeah, Doran's having a pretty good time up against the Aatrox here, and Kingen's doing the exact opposite, still struggling to last hit these minions and not even going to get towards that one. This, as you would understand, would be a relatively difficult matchup, but you can see Griffin are just organically winning everywhere.
That's what they picked for. It's a lane domination draft, and KT post-6 for Skarner have a bit more fangs, but pre-6, you lose and get Kleptoed and more. It could have been triple Klepto here. Doran could have gone that way, but that would have kind of pigeonholed him into an AP build. He's gone for on-hit Nico, which is I just want to always dominate the Aatrox in a 1v1, but will provide slightly less in a team fight. Can't hit the multi-man E. But now at least, that's actually QSS first.
Yeah.
From
QSS
Chovy.
and some stuff.
He just wants to keep dunking, and you buy the QSS, and you just hope that guarantees that your cull will be cashed in on time.
Well, he's only got 44 more to go, so over halfway towards completing that one. Pretty comfy here, but you can see B2D is also feeling pretty good. Able to win these 1v1s, and is only behind by about 6 CS. Score moving on up, and I did want to ask you, when is KT's comp going to be strong? When do they need to start moving forward? Because I'm seeing things like a Corki, I'm seeing things like 2-item spikes on the Ezreal, and I'm worrying for KT as they move into this mid-game.
To answer your question, it's kind of a one that I have to couch a bit because, like you mentioned, there's never a point where you might say, wow, 3 items, overwhelming lead for KT. I feel like that doesn't exist, but you can imagine, I'm sure you would be there and the audience would be there, what a one team fight from KT looks like. How about deleting a squishy when they're trying to walk up and contest vision? That could make sense. What about Aatrox comboing into the backline as Sylas and Skarner dive in to the low front line of Griffin? Yes, you can understand that. But setting that up requires a vision setup, requires Griffin to either make a mistake or oblige to a position where KT are strong. And setting up a strong side when you're losing 3 lanes is actually really hard. You kind of have to give something up. Maybe pack up bot lane and send them to Rift Herald at 10 minutes, which was an option KT could have gone to. So I feel like conventionally, KT setting that up is really difficult, but there are certain fights where Griffin's lack of frontline can be taken advantage of. My first instinct, though, kind of needs a Griffin mistake.
Well, at the moment, it's Kingen that's trying to get this pesky Nico off his back and is unable to do so. Tarzan's just going to move on in, though. The snare doesn't land. The flash a little bit late. The Umbral Dash is there, though, and Kingen is going to survive.
Feels like a very nice no button there. Just glides out like he's shouting cowards on Sion. Needed to hit the flash E through a minion, but it shorts onto the Aatrox. Aatrox runs out. Understandable that Tarzan's going top, though. If you look at the lanes, the only lane building damage is top lane. It's QSS mid and QSS bot lane from Griffin. And that's a fast Scorpion.
Yeah, Score is booking it, but the snare is going to be good this time around. The flash in, though. The Impale is going to land, and Doran, he's going to get the Pop Blossom out there. Will he have the Shape Splitter? I don't know whether he will, but I don't think it matters. The teleport comes down. Flash in from Tarzan. Knock-up avoided from Score, but the death is not. First blood goes to Griffin, but now it's a hijacked Pop Blossom, and BDD answers back. Great knock-up there from King, and now is Chovy down to 200. And we are going to get Tarzan flagged and dragged out of there, but KT, they do come up with the answer.
Super interesting extended skirmish where by the end you could feel the difference in a Corki not building damage and a Sylas able to steal away a high AP ult when he's building damage. Both side, Frey and Snowflower continue to trade.
Tongue Lash.
Viper.
Yeah, the Ignite goes down there from Snowflower. Understand what he was thinking. A lot of damage potential available. Frey unable to close the distance, get any more autos.
Griffin's first teleport was good. Aatrox missed Q1, and then there wasn't enough damage for an all-in. That some damage was repelled on with Doran's ultimate. However, after that, the moment they continued to fight, when BD showed up, you did really feel the damage drop-off of Sheen QSS Corki.
I don't think that things were going to get better for Kingen at all, so I think as this sort of settles and that first blood gold is absorbed, I think BDD is probably going to find the most inroads out of it. As KT going to be thwacking onto Shelly for a moment. Shape Splitter is going to spot exactly what is going on. As there's a real Viper on the bottom side and a fake one on the top side.
And walks up. Notice the Hens has no mana, so doesn't have a lot of lane presence on the Nami like you would usually.
Speaking of lane presence, I feel like Snowflower has had a whole lot more on it since those adjustments to the Tahm Kench. Not exactly the defensive support that he used to be, but can always eat, you know?
Jury's still out as a full image on how gone Tahm Kench is. We always say he's going to be benched to play into the memes and the fact that it feels like months and months.
We have been nerfing him forever, Bubba Smithy, yeah.
Yeah, he still perseveres, at least for this first match on 9-14. I like what Score is doing. He's had no priority topside for a long time, but Griffin have already swapped the Nami towards topside. The Nico still fighting against the Aatrox. Will they actually get this?
BDD wants to get himself a Cataclysm, does so. Hijack now with a slightly lower range, but he was still able to walk up to the J4 and pick that one up, and now Score with Shelly behind him. 20 seconds to go on those turret plates, so not going to get highest value from Shelly, but still going to be able to knock down some turrets.
It's still, given how the game looked for 11 minutes, a huge steal away by KT. They had 3 losing lanes, and now a Rift Herald has been taken around one of the cleanest ones, where Nico is always expected to have priority on Aatrox. But after a kill, when multiple summoners are down, what happens when Jace or Nico or Kennen blows flash in the 1v1? Can't overextend and push as hard. Safe spaces in the lane are more defensive, and that defensive kind of tendency was well executed and well preyed upon by KT.
Yeah, I actually think it's a really interesting thing to talk about, because Griffin have chosen their item builds based on playing a slower game. They're more investing into, if they get caught in any sort of team fight, they will be okay with the double QSS that has come in here. It's slowed down these Sheen items that are going to be built up. Viper doesn't have his second item yet. Manamune is in there, so he is doing some damage, but the Corki is well and truly behind where he'd want to be at this point in time. So it's an interesting take on how to make this composition work when they did have such power in these lanes, had they not had to build that particular item.
And I love that you illustrate it so eloquently, Atlas, because you have two options when you're against a comps like KT. The moment they pick 3 losing lanes against you, you can be in for a good time. Just build damage and say, yep, Skarner's got 1 ult. However, we have priority in every lane. That extra AD is going to get us turret plates. We're going to win skirmishes if we have on-point rotations, which should be easy. We got priority in 3 lanes, and on-paper priority gives you the ability to move first, so therefore you feel really good about having more damage there. Or you could be in for a long time, and that's what they're saying is, we've got the priority. That priority is getting us 2 free QSSs because you put together the gold. It's about the gold lead that Griffin has, so it's kind of like everything's even, but 2 QSSs are on the side of Griffin. And we feel really good about where the game is going, because we've already talked about how their siege and a lot of their options playing out the game are very good. So they had 2 options. They have chosen the long time scenario. That does mean that KT could go for certain plays. Will this interrupt? It will.
Nope. Tidal Wave comes in and Shelly says, thanks for the bar, Nami. And she's going to head up there and smack that one down. Means that Lahen's disengaged potential not going to be very high either. And that allows Prey just to stand underneath this turret and act pretty comfortably. Tower falls down and that gold lead is still there. However, something that Griffin needs to be concerned about. First turret did, of course, go down on the top side of the map already. KT able to even things out. And that Sivir, you know, the 3-item win condition, 6-item win condition, I guess, is what it feels like here for KT in any sort of team fight scenario is going to be there. But I just don't know whether it's going to be enough when Griffin are pretty much happy to scale alongside his composition.
I think, for me, the one thing I'm hearing from you and your voice is Griffin and scaling, and that used to be such a good thing, right? The team that always won every team fight after 35 minutes. That hasn't been Griffin in summer. They've actually made a lot of errors in the mid to late game. So I think that inevitability isn't there, and thus, as someone who's always on the aggressive side of the coin, the fact that they could have gone aggressive or farmed it out, chosen to farm it out when their form is down, it makes me feel like it's not a confidence move from Griffin, and I remain unconvinced. Pretty convinced they'll pick up this Drake, though.
Yeah. Clown Drake, not exactly going to be the highest priority here for KT, so they will let that one go over. First Drake taken at 17.5 minutes is extraordinarily late. However, KT utilized that opportunity while they were beating down on some Draconids in order to get some turret damage. Draconids is another one of those vocabulary words that I've been working on.
I didn't know what a Draconid was. I assume that's a small
I think
monster?
I think it might be a fantasy term, probably from some book that I read a long time ago. But Kingen did manage to get some damage down onto that turret. Actually a lot, as the outer did take a bit. Of course, no plates to be picked up. And KT have transitioned their bottom lane into mid. And pretty standard mid game here.
Shut up, Nami.
What? It's a nice song.
You don't get it because you're not OG Atlas.
What do you mean? You mean like the old spam?
That's the same Nami that Doa would say "Shut up, Nami" at every time.
Aww.
That is in fact the Nami he loves to sing.
It is.
But regardless, OGs understood that reference. Get out of here, ex-LPL caster.
I apologize. I'm sorry, ex-LPL caster.
Shut up, no one remembers that.
The selective memory of Papa Smithy is strong. Speaking
Whatever
of strong,
fits, as KT pushing up, and this is again the thing that doesn't fit, right? Is only 13 CS disadvantage, the turret around top side, the Rift turret around top side. Maybe that's just what happens when you bring in a less experienced top laner, because ever since the Flash trade, they're actually winning on top side as KT.
Yeah. Feels like Kingen really has got himself into a good position. That Black Cleaver still being built up for the 30% CDR, but he's very close to it as Chovy fighting against BDD, but dancing shoes on here for the Silas. Able to get out of the way of these rockets. Score. Stealing away a red buff. And I don't know whether Doran's actually going to be able to secure that one away from him. Shape Splitter comes in. Things are down, but KT can see a lot of the members of Griffin. They know that our score is very comfortably able to steal away that red.
And it feels like we cannot give you any real impression of this game 20 minutes in, whether it's what's changed in 9-14 or Griffin and KT's current scenario. And the reason for that is kind of the end note on this game has already been written. We got 2 versions and we don't know which one we're running yet. Yeah. Griffin have allowed KT to farm out with 3 losing lanes, and you could argue, yeah, they're confident about how strong they're going to be with certain items. That's fine. They're using Tarzan. Not going to be able to yet. In fact, Tarzan's going in for now.
Going to be able to get the knock up. It's going to be an immediate stopwatch there from Score as Pop Blossom in the backline doesn't really do anything. Tarzan puts Score in the baby cage, but he gets himself out. Ebb and Flow was very close to picking up the kill. Speaking of which, Viper snipes him with a true shot barrage. The only kill of the fight, but so many people there, and a lot of summoners now down on the side of KT.
Important to pick up a kill there because KT had walked up really far against Griffin as some of their items to come in. But just finishing off my point, Atlas, Griffin could have played an aggressive game or a passive game. KT had no choice, but if KT get to farm out with Griffin deciding to play slow and then win a team fight, Griffin are the ones who had control of how the game was played, and it will be damned if you did, damned if you didn't kind of scenario to discuss. But for this, Score walks up and he thinks he's making the proactive move and cutting Tarzan off, but Tarzan actually makes a good assertive shot call. KT emergency flashes in multiple different defensive directions, and nice snipe from Viper.
Yeah. Score had the right idea at the end, but juked the wrong direction initially. That is going to spell his demise. Still, 3,000 gold isn't exactly a huge amount. And another true shot barrage. Snowflower somehow made it out of the way, and it looks like his model's twice the size of Score's. Unfortunate. Looks like it was about as close.
He's just a big boy.
He is a big boy.
I wonder if you want him to be bigger or smaller. Probably bigger, because you don't want people to click on your AD carry.
Yeah, I guess you're okay with being clipped on with Tonkin.
Needs to walk up and takes the world's most harass. This is what we were talking about when it comes to where the game is going, is that sieges are a no bueno scenario unless KT hard engage. You get one hard engage, Skarner can't really do that. He's going to be coming out of vision. As long as the setup from Griffin is even possible, you're going to be spotting a Skarner. Kingen doesn't have teleport anymore. Griffin actually wants to make this about 4-1. Roll into a lane. Corki for now is still getting Klepto procs on a silent, that's fine. But if you send 4 people mid while Silas picks up a minion wave, oh boy, not much KT can do.
Yeah, exactly. It's really scary. And this 4-1 poke and siege composition really does start working for Griffin. That's why we've been talking with apprehension about KT's composition, because this happens. And despite the ultimate missing, it's still just a lot of damage being taken here by Prey for free. And as soon as they send him home, where's the wave clear? And they get themselves a free turret as Tidal Wave comes in. Good avoidance there from Snowflower as BDD jumps over. Chovy slowed down but doesn't connect the abscond. And Griffin get away scot-free.
And that's what happens, you know. All KT can do is ponder pressing the Predator button on Score, otherwise just give up. Turret damage after turret damage into an inevitable mid-lane turret. That is the reality of Corki, Ezreal, Nico. I love that Chovy chose the roam timing, as we mentioned, got the chunk out. And yes, they don't finish the turret, but there was no risk. They were under exactly 0 threat from the enemy. Nami's actually one of those old-school answers to Skarner, because Skarner is such a linear champion that with how wide and long-range the wave is, very hard for him to be able to walk around that and still actually threaten anything with the ult.
Yeah, it's not exactly going to be hanging 10 on that particular wave. Score, we'll see whether he can get any use out of this Skarner against multiple QSSs at this point. I mean, I feel like Doran's probably a potential option, but he has so many ways to be frustrating the Shape Splitter that you probably wouldn't want to be clicking on any Nikos just in case you get the wrong one.
Me.
I actually never really liked it when he said that, because I always thought that it was cool when she used to sing.
Well, everyone gets an opinion, even if they're wrong.
Thanks, Bob.
No worries, mate.
Validating me.
We haven't had a double Aussie cast in a while.
I know.
You were off last week.
A couple of weeks.
It's only once this week as well. The struggle. The struggle is real, but it's lovely to have you back. What did you learn from your trip over to China? It was with other esports in mind, but there's still going to be learnings that you can bring back to us.
I learned that the food in Xi'an is absolutely incredible.
So if you find yourself in Xi'an, what are you ordering? What is the local specialty?
Well, we had these this strange sort of like super noodles, right? Which is really like standard Chinese food, but they put this special bread inside the soup. It was supposed to prepare earlier. As the siege is continuing, we'll let you know whether anything
Now, in Korea,
happens.
I always turn my nose up at bread offerings because they're usually sweet bread. In case you guys don't know, Koreans' first thought is that bread is some sort of dessert. So there's not a lot of sandwiches. There's not a lot of other things. You can find authentic things, but when in doubt, probably sweet bread. What do we learn in China?
So this was actually closer to damper puppets. You had damper before? As King
is
has gone for the 1v1. Yeah, Doran in trouble. Does land the snare as Shade Splitter comes out. The knock-up's going to land, but it's the wrong one. King rolled the dice, and they did not come up the right way as Score has discovered the pesky Nico. Flashes to get over the wall, but Score, you can't juke him. And he's going to be able to pick up that kill. Tidal Wave lands onto only Snowflower, but he gets himself to safety as the rest of KT turn up into this mid lane. A win for KT Rolster at this stage of the game.
Every time they're able to make something happen on the map and they don't lose the turret to this insane siege comp from Griffin, it's a big win for KT. They did not pick themselves into a comp that should have been able to make too many decisions about how the game will be played. Doran tries to hoodwink, but Kingen showed great aggression to open up that play, understood the limits of this high sustain Aatrox after the removal of the revive, and Griffin cannot punish with a mid lane turret, although with the health bar low, KT need to rotate multiple members to stop this inevitability of mid lane outer turret going down.
Yep. Frey does deal with a minion wave and does have himself a spell shield to avoid getting poked out completely. Let's have a look at this 1v1 once again.
So King just comes in and with a level lead feels super confident. Early flash to reposition his Q misses, so actually probably would have been a kill much earlier if this play didn't happen. But what I want people to notice is that Skarner can leave the mid lane, 4 people in mid lane. No one's helping Doran, who will die inevitably here, until pretty late when Tarzan says, oh, maybe I should help my top laner. There's not a lot of synergy between the top laner who either needed help early or to be left alone, and the mid lane that could have been threatened a bit harder. KT were able to clear out a minion wave and get a kill, whereas Griffin didn't really do much, and the game continues with a 2 QSS but no other gold lead for Griffin, even now at the 27-minute mark.
But if we have a look down the items, that's when things start to get scary here for KT. 3 items now complete onto Viper. They take down this outer turret. He's been farming very effectively as well. Currently has about 25 CS in the lead. And as you can see, Rapid Fire Cannon Blade of the Ruin King done for Doran. Very close to picking up his next one, which could be an Infinity Edge coming in next. We'll see where that Cloak of Agility is going to go alongside the pickaxe.
And again, if this is Spring Griffin, you say, okay, you've been a bit slow, but you've got your item spikes, put down some control wards on the Baron, you got mid lane outer done, you got top lane outer done, make it a Baron game, you got to tank Jarvan. He's able to tank it for a relatively long time, even if the rest of your lineup is squishy, and Double Blade or Trinity Force, Infinity Edge, Corki.
I mean, they got a lot of damage, right?
Yeah. Their turn is a little bit more linear than most comps. It's kind of Jarvan ult, Nami ult, and not much else, so they don't have a lot of guaranteed turn, but so much damage does mean you're in a great spot to make it a Baron game. But Griffin haven't been great at capitalizing on the objective that is freest for them. Their decisive shot calls, their wordless shot calls of fame 1 year ago no longer deserve that much respect. So yep, they can take a free Cloud Drake, but the only objective KT really needs to respect right now is Baron.
And they've got a hell of a lot of vision on it as well, as Kingen moving out of the way of Doran, who does have a lot of power here in this lane. King and teleport available, that wants to save it for any Baron plays that are going to happen. Triple teleport on both sides, of course, guys. Vipers is on cooldown, and KT have all of theirs.
And you look at the minimap, and this is kind of the VOD review point where you say, all right, Griffin had 3 priority lanes and a 3,000 gold lead early. Right now, if you pause the game, what do they really own, Atlas? Because Nico can push in minion waves to Aatrox, but she has no vision. So Aatrox says, thank you very much. I'll wait for this to be pushed to me. Yeah. I'll get 5 out of 6 minions in every wave. That's fine. Around the Baron, KT even have Baron control after their mid lane outer turret went down. So Griffin haven't turned the mid lane outer turret into any control there just yet. Corki has no deep vision, so Silas is saying, yeah, I'll take most of these waves. KT's farming next to Griffin when they have no priority anywhere. That is just freebies to KT, and it's on Griffin onus, again, still on them to make this game about where they're strong, because right now, I can't tell from the minimap.
Nope. They haven't been leveraging their power. That being said, they have been extending leads. I guess the lanes.
Have they? I mean, the gold lead is
the gold lead
3,000.
has gone up by 700 gold over the last 15 minutes, Papa Smithy, and you gotta take your wins where you get them. All right, this is Griffin on their longest loss streak ever. Okay.
I've missed your facetious analysis. Did I get that pronunciation right?
Yeah, facetious.
I think
facetious. Is that what you're going for?
Something like that.
Facetious.
Whatever one.
It's been a while.
It has. Words are hard.
Yeah,
so,
they are.
Yeah, they had that. They keep having that. And now KT say maybe we can pick
someone.
Score
really is the predator right now as Tarzan's flagging and dragging. He's trying to get himself out of there, and he was the target in mind. No QSS on the Jarvan and a fair bit of damage availability, but now some big buttons on cooldown for KT. Snowflower might just get routed here. May need to flash. He's going to put on the thick skin, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough. The flash happens, but it's very, very late as the Cataclysm is now utilized. Tarzan goes down low, but he's so incredibly tanky. The auto attacks are finally in there. B2D able to dodge his way out. How did Tarzan live for so damn long, and how did no one on KT fall down either?
As your ult sent out to check largely to make sure no one was turning on to Baron. You notice how much harder it is at 50,000 gold for both teams for Griffin's big damage comp with no frontline to actually kill some of the frontliners from KT. So it's a big trade. We have to look at summoners to really understand what was gained or lost from this. Snowflower got down super low. Someone had to check around the Baron, and it took Griffin this long to actually get some semblance of Baron control. But the moment the Stone Plates and Skarner ults came down, you can see that, yes, Jarvan is tanky, but the moment his health bar goes low, Griffin has a lot of squishy members that need to rely on their frontliner, their one-man frontline, to zone for them.
Yep, we're going to check out this one as well, as Kingen was fighting against Doran. The Pop Blossom, I believe, working out this time around. Actually, the dodge is what we're checking out, as there wasn't any solo kills or any shenanigans like that.
My kind of wink and nods about the players we're seeing are more to Kingen's side than Doran's in terms of he's got the harder job and he's making it look pretty 50-50 in a tricky lane phase.
Oh, package delivery is going to be utilized there, but as an escape tool and not an engage tool or disengage tool. The Snowflower is letting us know exactly what changed. Blue Sentinel gobbled up, and he's actually able to take the buff as well, which is exactly not what B2D wanted.
So the way that Griffin actually gets a Baron star is you need creative wards. Because what you want, like on a very simple level, is walk in, put down deep control wards, start Barons. Speaking of, they're trying to make that play. The problem is you're against Skarner, you're against Sylas, you're against Aatrox. It's actually very hard to stick control wards. It's very easy for KT to put down those defensive control wards, one on their blue buff, one on the other entrance. But a play like this is what Griffin need to do. You need to take risks and start it up again and again and see how long it takes KT to react. Here comes Score.
Yep, teleport comes in, exactly, and that ward is not spotted. Tidal Wave comes in, B2D with the Cataclysm. The Baron is taken by Griffin, but now can KT actually win the fight? Redemption comes in. Tarzan eventually falls down as Prey's doing a lot of damage, but doesn't have a lot of mana, doesn't have a lot of health. It's a double kill so far, though, and now Chovy in trouble. The Devour comes in. Prey does have a blue buff, so can get some of that mana and health back. The Honey Fruit is eaten, but Griffin, 3 Barons still alive. They suffered 2 deaths, and they actually have routed KT. Their health bars are so damn low as Prey now trying to take the fight into his own hands. Kingen misses the knock-up, unfortunately. And Viper, Mercurial Scimitar utilized. Mystic shot not going to land. He's hit this one before, but this time not going to be enough. Needs the help of Chovy, who dashes on over and gets that last rocket. Griffin answer back with some kills of their own, and finally the gold lead has extended beyond 3K.
Easy to be baited into thinking that that was going to be just a KT1 team fight, but there is no revive anymore on the Aatrox. The low health bar members against the extreme range of Griffin, and an Enchanter support still alive meant that it was on Griffin to chase down future kills. They do. That means they get Baron and largely trade even in terms of the kill score. This is what Griffin needed to do. You can't get down the perfect vision. You can't make the perfect play. Use the Nami to control one entrance and start the Baron. But they do take consequences for the play. 2 members go down, but at this moment, big range damage dealers, Nami passive and movement speed, was on Viper and Chovy to clean up some of the low health members of KT.
Yeah, they were able to do it. And this is the fact that there just isn't a front line that's healthy enough to walk on in. B2D was going back home.
small moment here is that Viper uses the Mercurial Scimitar for movement speed, but the Infernal Chain still arms. That's why he wasn't able to close the distance. It means Toby has to put an extra flash. You might say worth, but there's actually a team fight now that either Kingen or Score starts where maybe they can actually cut down one of Chovy and Viper because their summoners will be on cooldown for the next few minutes.
Well, back now going to be channeled here by BDD. No, considering going for some sort of potential 1v1. As of course, Doran is not one of the members of Griffin who has the Baron buff. And that is very important here, of course. The optimal choice for any sort of 4-1. Chovy does have his, so he's on the bottom side, pushing through as well.
Now it is a siege comp with Baron. No mistakes. Very hard to see them not wreck the base of KT Rolster, and yet this is not the Griffin that we should plug and play for that no-respect gameplay. KT still have some force, although Kingen dying would not be ideal.
Yep. Redemption going to come in, do absolutely nothing as Kingen's able to get out of there with the World Ender and the Umbral Dash. True Shot Barrage just going to fly past majestically in the mid lane. BDD now with a Pop Blossom. The first time feels like this game. Hasn't had too many of those. It's been a lot of Cataclysms so far, and with Hijack having a longer cooldown, it's not like you can just freely cycle through them. Could be very, very pivotal. I tell a lie, managed to get the first kill for KT, utilizing that Pop Blossom top side of the map.
As you walk up, no aggressive Abyssal Voyages yet. I'm waiting to see an Aatrox or a Skarner.
Yeah, where's the delivery?
Line. It's hard because double QSS means that your options are pretty limited. Who you're ulting here? I guess you're ulting Nami because it's only Nami and Nico that don't have some note buttons to not die instantly. So I understand that it's not a trivial request, but it's 5-item Sivir. There's a lot of ability power and AD on other members. KT gave themselves a really tricky draft to pull off, but Griffin have obliged into giving them a late game that I think a lot of teams around the world would have never granted with 3 priority lanes on the side of Griffin. But for all our criticism, it can still be a Griffin victory, and their Baron pushes and the pressure is so high.
Oh, it should be, right? I mean, we're sitting at a 7,000 gold lead for Griffin. They have complete control, but I'm really glad that you've changed your language based on the Griffin that we've seen over recent weeks. Because normally, I mean, last time we saw this matchup, it was like, well, come on, Griffin, you're taking too long to win. But now, with KT coming up a win, Griffin certainly not. Here's a different story as Kingen fishes for the knockup, doesn't get it. Tarzan now in for the flank. Tidal Wave is in, the double knockups are good there as Kingen able to get the World Ender down, keeping himself alive now as Cataclysm onto 4 members is just huge from Tarzan, and the AoE damage from Griffin is too much. Prey is dead mid-devour, and the Tahm Kench will, of course, follow Kingen. Flashes to get himself out of there. True Shot Barrage just to add insult to injury, and Griffin will just knock on the front door, take it down, and win the game.
Took 37 minutes, but that engaged what Griffin had been searching for all game. Tarzan on a control ward. Gets the huge Cataclysm direct and diving for that further kill. They'll take down Kingen. Lahen's going to be fine. He's going to visit the KT spawning pool and enjoy it for what it is. Griffin get the victory, but it was labored. Took 37 minutes, but in the end, the draft did ring true come the end of it.
Yep. That's throughout the entire game for what KT was trying to do, and then it's like, avoid a team fight, have a QSS on our carries, and we'll be totally fine. Next time around, I want to see whether KT can actually bring it to Griffin and create some laning phases for themselves, because this did not look like the slaughter that we saw in the first round robin.
But you could also say, if you want to be glass half full for Griffin, the moment they went double QSS, Skarner gets ult and is like, all right, you had hard lanes, but I'm ready now, guys.
Yeah.
He really didn't have many places to go. So while that also invited a lot of extra game time, at the end of the day, it was a Griffin victory.
It was, but we'll see where the game number 2 is going to be. Also, we'll be back after the break with more League of Legends LCK.